Hello and welcome to a new episode. In this episode we're continuing with our sanitary building, and to be honest it's going to be a bit chaotic. We're gonna start a lot of things, we're gonna finish few, but we are tracking along. Now the first thing that we're gonna start with is something that we've never done before, and that's been on my mind for quite some time, because you know how it goes. If you do something for the first time, you're kind of thinking things through, how you're gonna do it, and especially with this major, big, huge thing, that's going to be a challenge. Let's start. Hello and welcome to a new video. In this video, we're going to install this package. At least, if I can do it myself. I've never done it before, so I'm doing it for the first time. Let's install a solar boiler. And you know what they say, go big or go home. So we bought ourselves a 300 liters solar boiler. It's more or less the biggest size that's mainly available. And I can tell you, it's huge. And this whole setup needs to go on top of our sanitary building. Oh dear, did I just go one step too far? Let's find out. So what do we have here? Well, here we have the solar tank. It's already damaged, so at least I'm not the one that's making the first scratches. And you know what? If it's just a little minor default on the outside and everything functions, I'm totally fine with it. It is what it is. Then this will probably be the frame, and then here we have the tubes, the heat pipe vacuum tubes, to be precise. The term vacuum already raises alarm bells for me, because I don't have anything to get some kind of vacuum except for a vacuum cleaner, but that's probably not what they mean. I hope it's not like an AC that we have to create a vacuum before pumping the whole system through. And then we have a solar controller. Okay, so to be honest, I have no idea what I'm doing. I have not read the manual. I'll just give it a go and first unpack it. If I find any manuals, I think I'll study them, before starting. I think it's a wise decision. Let's go. We've got a lot of profiles, so I'm guessing that's the structure of the whole system. I want to start on that to see how big it is. But there's no instruction manual. Let's have a look if we can find that. This thing is huge. What have I got myself into? Holy smokes. Why couldn't I just start with a small one? No instruction manual inside, but long live the digital world. Put a QR code on the package. Say it's an instruction manual and everybody can reach it. Too bad the link is broken and the PDF doesn't exist. No instruction manual yet. Let's try it, at least to install the frame without the installation manual. I'm not onto the roof yet, but first I'll see if I can get everything together on the ground, see what's what. Well, without a guide, I got pretty far. I don't have any materials left. It looks pretty good. So I think it is pretty good. I've done everything hand tight, so I have to tighten everything properly. Maybe I'll just do that after I've installed it on the roof. Not entirely sure yet. I do know, however, that I'm going to do that another day. So Sylvia's been sanding the walls on the inside because we're going to lacquer them, and with what we'll tell you later on. And while she's been doing that, I've been busy with the wooden frame. I've made a wooden frame yesterday and I varnished it yesterday, and I installed it onto our roof. And on top of that, the frame for the boiler will come. And that's going to be quite interesting logistics again, because how are you going to get that on top of the house? The ground here is higher than where the sanitary building is. I've put a ladder there, and I've also made a kind of stairs so we could easily get it on. Easy peasy. We're going to lacquer the wooden panels with a lacquer that's meant for yachts to give it an optimal protection against moisture. So while Sylvia's lacquering, I'm going to unpack the boiler, and then when I'm finished, hopefully Sylvia's also finished, and we can get that huge tank onto the roof. So this is the water tank, and it's not really heavy, but it's bulky, alright. It's 2.5 meters long, diameter of about 60 centimeters. So it's just very, very bulky. But it is kind of light. Also put a pellet, which ja, ik zit erin. Ja, weet wel. Kijk maar dan alles waar wij lopen, dat we niet nergens zijn. And of course, at the peak moment when we lifted the tank up to its frame in its final position, the camera died. But luckily, we got it safe and sound onto its final location. Holy smokes, what a beast of a unit. That went pretty well, I gotta say. I'm happy that we got some help from our neighbors, because with just the two of us it was definitely not a chance. I'm very happy that we got this bugger up here, and it's massive. And I mean massive. The whole system is as high as I am, 1.80 meters, and it's 2.5 meters wide. That's crazy, especially if you think of that the whole sanitary building only has a width of 4.5 meters. I don't know, kind of overpowered, right? It's like a Smart with a V8 engine. But then again, can you have too much hot water? I mean, if the sun makes it for free for you, does it really matter if you have too much? Don't think so, right? All right, it's the next morning. We got the tank on top of the roof, and that's very exciting work. I'm very glad that that's done, and that gives me room to think of the next steps. And if I have room to think about next steps, that usually happens during the night. So I didn't sleep that much, unfortunately, but it gave me new ideas, because now that the tank is on top, there you have it. We need to, of course, continue with this. Now the tank needs tubes, vacuum tubes. That's the vacuum in the whole process, so I don't need to do anything, pull anything, vacuum. The tubes itself are vacuum, so that's good. Those need to go that way, but as it is right now, without those tubings on, I can easily access all the connections to get the hot water in, the cold water in, and all the other connections that I need to make. And then those tubes need to go down, they need to go into the technical area, but I don't have any connections there yet. So instead of continuing from Z to A, I thought, why not start at A and continue to Z? Alphabetical order might be more logic. So that's what they're gonna do today. Now where's A? Well, I don't know if you've seen it, but when we were installing our water system, I already made a preparation for our sanitary building. So there is our sanitary building, and here we have a concrete lid. And if I open this up, we have a water connection here. So we're kind of prepared for this. Except for the last couple of meters, of course. So I've got to start digging. the trench has been dug. And while at it, I've also dug a trench to our electrical building, because although we don't need a lot of electricity, the sanitary house, considering the solar boiler, we of course still need some electricity for light switch and stuff like that. So yeah, electricity. And while I'm doing that, Sylvia's trying, let's see if we can see her, to lacquer the walls for a second time. The second coating, yesterday was the first coating. Maybe this evening or tomorrow morning we can put on the third coating. So that's in progress. And I think this episode is kind of developing into a mixed match of all kinds of processes. But hey, we're slowly continuing, and that's the steps that we're taking. With every shovel we put into the ground, every little wall that we lacquer, we're slowly continuing. And speaking of continuing, let's go further with the water. The first of many connections has been made. Before we continue, let's see if the water still works, probably, and let's just rinse the tubing from the inside, because the tubing has been laying around for some time. So there's of course a little bit of debris, and the more we can get out now, the less there's in the system when everything's connected. And it's just fun, you know? We have water! Outside tubing is in. Now we slowly continue to our technical area. There we go. We've got ourselves a connection inside. Before we continue, let's first see if everything is watertight. I've opened the main valve outside a little bit. Now I'm releasing the air slowly. There's some water. Yeah. Okay, the air's out. So now I can check all the connections. For me it's going to take 5 minutes. For you it's going to take a second. So 5 minutes turned into the next day, of course. And let me show you. It's still wet. It's still dripping. I really don't like the use of Teflon. It's cheap. But I'll always have some kind of problem with it. So I bought this again. It's like 3-4 times as expensive. But I've got a lot more success with this. It's for water, warm water, cold water. It's even for gas. so it just closes it better off. Let's try that. Well, it seems to be holding up. I'll just leave it like this for about 15 minutes and check again if nothing feels wet or even drops for me. And if that's good, then I can finally continue with this. The big connection is holding up. While I was waiting for that, I spent the time with getting some connections together. And now we're going to start with something else. Because you know what? I don't have all the connections. Sylvia finished the lacquering yesterday. So we can start with the next step. And that's tiling the floor. But before we jump into that, I need to do some preparations. Because the door frame is until the flooring. And I want the tiles to continue beneath the door frame. Because it's just easier to install the tiles. So we need to cut that off. Sylvia's already prepared the floor by cleaning it roughly. And after that I'm going to explain how we're going to tile over wood. Because that's not the ideal base for tiling. Now that the door frames are shortened, we're going to start off by applying a universal primer. Now this universal primer makes sure that there's a correct bonding between the glue that we're using for the tiles and the base surface, which is wood in this case. So the primer has to dry for 45 minutes, which gives me room to set up our tile cutting system. Back in Holland we bought a water-cooled tile cutter. We've never used it before and we bought it second-hand, so we're not sure if it works. First let's get this thing assembled and try it out. I had to MacGyver something with the tubes, but if we turn it on, it seems to be working. It's spinning, there's water running. Good to go. Since we have a wooden base, we're using a flexible glue that should be okay with wooden floors. We've got ourselves some glue, some equipment. I've put a line here on the floor. If you see it, it's about there. That's the edge of the first tile we're going to lay. The last part we're going to fill up later on to make sure everything is 100% straight, and we want the floor to be 100% straight with this line. So all we still need is a tile and our tiler. Here we have it! Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Yes? Well, let's see. So, first tile. Nice. while Sylvia's getting the kids from school, I'm gonna try and do the hardest part of the floor. And that's at the entrance. So we need to cut it alongside, and also we need to make another cutout. So that's going to be interesting. This machine might be a bit overkill for the project that we're doing now, but it is kind of cool to see what it can do. Now let's see if it fits. There's a bit of a gap on this side, like 5 millimeters, where I would prefer to have it like 2 or 3. But we're going to tile this as well, so it's good enough. What do you know? I didn't film the last part. But it went in like a glove, trust me. It really did. I've got one chance left. The other one, that's going to be probably even more difficult, as there's no room to squeeze it in like this one. Stay tuned. I will really try to film that one. The last tile for this one, except for the last parts on the other side, but here's the last one. One floor down, one to go. And you know what is like really cool about this floor? And it's like an engineering thing, an unintended engineering thing, because I didn't intend this at all. But regarding the width, we had zero wastage. Zero, none. The width of the room is 1/2 of a tile. So one tile plus 2/3 of the tile. And then the other third of the tile you can reuse for the next row. And we could continue like that, and it's all straight, like 100% straight. That's just ridiculous. I don't think I'll ever tile a floor like this again. Now the shower. I've already installed one tile yesterday. Now it's morning and we're continuing. Here we're going to leave it open, because in this side we're going to get a shower base, and there's going to be the drainage on that side. So that can stay open. I do want to put something along the sides, so the base has a complete surface around to lean on. Let's get started. tiling has been completed. I think it's a good moment to close off this chaotic chapter in building a sanitary building. If you're interested in how this project will be continuing, do consider subscribing to our channel. It will help us out a lot. Maybe we can even let the channel grow a bit. It's still a bit small, and you know what, I don't really mind it being small, but you know, the more the merrier. If you want to see more of our day-to-day life, consider subscribing to our Instagram channel. So before more chaos erupts, I'll wish you a good day and see you in the next one. Ciao!